from New York.
Woo! On location. Jump Street back on location.
Yeah, episode 62.
First one since the pandemic.
Yeah. I'm really, I'm stoked that we get to do something live again.
If anyone didn't notice, Billy's back in the house.
Yeah.
back in the big city.
Yeah, it's our first live one since Powwow.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't live.
Well, yeah.
Our first one.
On location.
Non-Zoom on location.
Non-Zoom.
Yeah, non-Zoom.
Pre-corona episodes. But sick to have you back.
Thank you.
Finally.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
Hell yeah, you too. I know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been, like I said, every time you come back, it's just like, it's not like you've been gone for a while. It's just like, okay, here's Billy. He's back in New York.
Yeah, I just feel like that too, man. It's such like being back home. It's a good feeling. Good.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing everyone this weekend. Everyone who's coming out Saturday to honor the memory of E Money.
Yeah, anybody
Erica
who's
Guerre, otherwise known as Eric Estrada.
Yeah.
So.
You get the name right.
Yeah.
Anybody who's in the New York area and watching this live by any chance, come through tomorrow, 181st. We're going to have a memorial session for a buddy E-Money.
1 p.m.
Yeah, 1 p.m. And, anything else to say? Anything else going on?
No, I mean, it's just, a celebration of life. It's going to be friends, We still obviously have to contend with this, coronavirus stuff, so we're going to be safe. It's going to be, his family's going to be there in the beginning, so it's going to be a respectful thing, so everything is going to be cool, but yeah, it's going to be a nice time skating, good time with people, having laughs, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Hey, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
We had like a mini session for him last weekend, but this is the big one. And last week was even big too, so.
I was actually bummed out I missed that last one.
Well, good thing that we have a rebate this weekend.
Very happy with that. Okay, well, welcome. Once again, this is episode 62. Austin Paz, Billy O'Neill. We have a very special guest on. We have a couple special guests on, but today on this episode, we have a very special guest.
Very special.
But before we get started, I would like to say, the same spiel that I say every episode. What we got to keep saying, I got to keep shoving it down. Everyone, just in case we get some new people watching by any chance. So please follow us on Instagram. Go to Facebook, give us a like. If you follow us on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, give us a comment. YouTube, if you share the video, if you comment on the video, these interactions really help. They help get us up there in the algorithms and things like that. And, go to our channel, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. So when we have these live episodes, you just get a ding on your phone. If you're not doing anything, if you're sitting in your room, if you're hanging out, got nothing going on, you hear a ding.
If you're on the toilet.
Oh, watch a podcast. Look who it is, my favorite player, my favorite, person. And, so please do all of that, and that'll really help us. And, by the way, if you like what we do, we have a Patreon. We appreciate our Patreon supporters. It does things like, get us out to the Powwow, Winter Clash. I mean, it's been a lull in events at the moment, but it
does a lot for us now, especially because everything is just changing so much now.
Absolutely.
That we had to buy new gear for a different platform, kind of pretty much doing them the Zoom calls, but now luckily we're in person doing them again.
Yeah.
We're back here. Also, the Instagram, the 10K. We're almost at 10K followers.
10K followers.
We're a few hundred away. So
which is big for us.
It is big for us.
Yeah.
We got to get the swipe up. And it's a nice big, why can't I think of the word?
It's a milestone?
Milestone.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not a landmark. It's a milestone.
It's a milestone, yeah. No, it is cool.
If you don't follow us already on Instagram, please follow us on Instagram.
Absolutely.
So we could get the swipe up and get you guys easier access to watching live videos, live streams, all that stuff.
And we also, we were looking in our comments and some things we were having some guests on and saying how some people were saying if they had the opportunity to, they'd be willing to support some of their favorite skaters or some of their favorite skaters' causes. So what we do on these live episodes now is the super chats that we get. We always open up our questions to the guests at the end, but if people have super chats, they get priority. But if you give us a super chat with one of our guests, we give 50% of the super chats to our guest or the charity of their choice. We just had Ezekiel on. He did his for BLM. We raised a couple $100 for that, I think, which is, big for us. We normally don't even get up to $100. Like that
was really a good episode.
To get that support and everything was really cool. But so our guest today, Mendez, he's going to put his 50% toward the Harold Hunter Foundation, which we'll talk about when he gets on the show.
Yeah. That's really cool. I like this idea that we came across, and everybody who, put forward the suggestion in the comments and stuff like that. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
This is all the stuff that we're growing and helping.
And keep giving us your feedback because we're just trying to be a platform that, represent the community can be proud of and things like that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Before we get started, we want to talk about HIT.
Oh,
You
man, hit.
You got the things of it? You got the
You know
goods? You
what?
got the goods?
So I hadn't tried this on the last episode when we did it.
Mm-hmm.
So this time I tried it just before this episode.
So now you could speak the truth.
So now I can attest to it. I didn't try this, but I really like this.
It shit works, right?
And I'm normally a big CBD critic. Like I'm not much of. Well, I've normally been a skeptic on it, but the bombs are the things that I actually really like.
Yeah, I think that's gonna carry a lot of people, especially bladers, to like keep skating more and more because everyone has sore joints, sore muscles, and all that stuff, and this stuff works wonders on that, on like all the pain that you have. It helps healing. You know, you could put it on and then be sore, and then 10 minutes later you're good to go.
Totally.
So that stuff's money. We also have the Hit Drops. So we teamed up with them with Hit CBD to give you 15% off your entire order if you go to hitbomb.com. We also have a link in the description below. So if you're interested in the Hit CBD drops and CBD bomb, they also have like a stick too. I guess that's for if you don't want to get your hands messy. You can rub it in like a deodorant. But yeah, this stuff works wonders. The drops I use all the time. I put in like my tea. You can put it in your smoothies.
You finished the whole bottle.
Yeah, I finished the whole
See, that's the thing. I've yet to test this because Austin's finished the whole bottle because apparently it's very effective.
Well, we have more coming.
Okay, cool.
Jacqueline said we have more coming.
Because I need to try that.
Yeah.
But yeah, hitbomb.com, hitbalm.com. You go to the website, you can get some free samples. If you go to the website and you put the code JUMPSTREET, you know, JUMPSTREET in the thing, you get 15% off your whole order.
And it helps us out too.
Helps us out.
So it helps everybody out.
It helps them out. Ryan Jacqueline is one of the main guys in this company. So you're like, it's a bladers supporting blading.
Yeah.
Through Bladers.
And they were at the Blading Cup last year too. A couple of people asked that too. They're like, is that the same company that was at Blading Cup? Yes, it is the same company that was at Blading Cup. They're going to be there again this year, and they're looking forward to sponsoring more events too coming up. So they're going to be like supporting the whole blading scene altogether.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So hitbomb.com.
Hitbomb.com.
Check it out.
Code JUMPSTREET at checkout, 15% off.
Cool.
One more thing before we get going. The little animation and stuff that we have at the beginning of the show or throughout the show is done by Sir Miguel Rodriguez from Portugal. He also started a new brand out of Portugal called Get Rolling. It's a soft goods brand. They have shirts and hats and cool stuff like that. He actually gave me a shirt at Winter Clash, and it's very soft and very nice. And it's a good summer shirt. So anybody who's interested in supporting another fellow blader, he's been skating since '95, so he's been putting in the work for the years. He's a very talented
guy.
His animation
he really helped
stuff
us out with the show.
And he's done like the intro to, if you're watching Ricardo Lino on YouTube, he does the intro to his show also. And he's pretty much just using his creative mind and putting his vision and creativity into his passion for the sport directly. So that's why he started a clothing brand from it. Yeah. So check it out. Get Rolling on Instagram. _Get Rolling _ and we have a link to the website below.
So it's at _ Get Rolling _
Yeah, for the Instagram.
Cool. Right here, there should be. Because of him, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, we can use his animation to do this too.
Yeah, very cool.
Perfect.
All right.
Should we keep it rolling?
I think we should, get our very, very special guest on.
Let's do it.
Wow, I'm extremely excited to have a live episode with this guest this special after so long. It's been Zoom for a while, and it's as good as Zoom is.
Nothing's as good as a real thing.
You don't get the same interaction, the same kind of, for lack of a better word, intimacy.
We're intimate on a very gold table too. So everyone, welcome Ray Mendez.
Ray Mendez.
Oh, he came with a mask.
Yeah.
He came coronaed out.
I'm trying to be, politically correct over here.
Okay.
Nah, I'm just messing around. You guys are my family, so.
You should have came in with a hand sanitizer and stuff too.
Yeah, I got that on deck, bro. I got that on deck. I'm about to spray it. Squirt.
Yeah. So how you doing, man? In the midst of this whole, you are literally
doing good.
In the center of New York City. You've been like the center of New York City skating and like the scene in so many ways, in and outside of rollerblading for a long time. But you're here in the midst of New York during, it's the ground zero of the pandemic. I think one of the biggest place for the protests. You are living in the heart of it. What's it been like?
Dude, 2020 can suck it. 2020 can a dick. It really can. Like 2020. Fuck you, 2020.
Right.
2020's rough, man. It's not for a lot of people, for me in particular. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, and I don't want to but
just being realistic.
Yeah, just to talk facts. Like me personally, and I'm just gonna be unfiltered here because you guys are my brethren. But 2020 for me, man, I was telling Austin before we started, like, and we're in this house, right? We're in Parlor Productions. So February, I lost Monique here from this place, which if you're a blader in New York City, you've absolutely been to a party.
Absolutely.
And or many in this very place.
Yeah.
So we lost Mo, and then I actually lost my, have 3 older brothers. The youngest of them, Lewis, I lost him. And literally as I got home from his burial, I found out about Eric Estrada, E-Money. And so like 2020 can go suck it as far as I'm concerned. Right. And then on top, that's my personal thing. We have pandemic. We have, all this sort of civil unrest for good reason in our city and in our world. So yeah, it's a pivotal year. Nobody's going to forget this year ever, I don't think.
No way.
No, it's a moment in history.
Yeah,
that's
it's
for sure.
Crazy. But, I'm of the opinion, like, I believe that, like, to sometimes fix things, you have to break things. You know what I mean? And so, like, I'm all for breaking shit. I mean, you guys have known me. I've known you guys since you were little. Like, I'm not, like, scared to, like, mix shit up or break some shit. So, yeah. Absolutely. But, yeah, it's a very challenging year for everybody globally, right? And I think that's the one thing that's interesting for us is, like, that we're all going through it together. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes, like, we're Americans, right? Well, I really think we're New Yorkers, which is a different, for people, for y'all that don't know, like, we're
Americans break down into multiple different subcultures.
And then no disrespect to the rest of America, but like I'm fucking around. Like I've always wanted to start New York as like New York City as a sovereign nation outside of the United States. Like,
can we do that? Can we make that happen?
Hey, listen, they're doing it in Seattle, so you know. Yeah,
I've always wanted to actually do that myself because I feel like New York is so different than the rest of the country.
Yeah.
But it ain't gonna work with the current mayor, and that's it. I'm not gonna make it too political, but
hey, we could go there too, man. I'm all for politics and shit. Like I it's funny, man, because like I'm a parent, but I work with a lot of youth, and like I realize like how important, at least if you're not active, at least it is to be aware of politics, because it does affect your life in one way or another, like it or not.
It has to, yeah.
You know, and so like I think it's really important for us to know what's going on in the world. Like I think especially as skaters, like you're just like, yeah, fuck it, I'm young and I'm like invincible and like nothing affects me, and that's great. But you know what I mean? At a point where people
become a parent, and then like policy and things make a difference.
Yeah, you're like, okay, what school is my kid gonna go to? Like what, you know what I mean? All kinds of layers of shit like that.
I think it's important though to like have to keep the balance, because like as much as it's important to know what's going on in the world, you don't want to like over consume yourself with.
You can't.
There's so much garbage out there.
Yeah, because
you go crazy.
There are literally forces just meaning to shove garbage down your throat and meaning to provoke, and so it's like I try to know what's happening with also like not focusing too much and trying to focus on my own life and my own things like that. So I think it's a good balance.
You have to have that balance, and that's challenging, right? When you get to that point, you're realizing like, okay, like because we only have a finite amount of energy, right? That we put into things like our lives, our friends, our career, be it skating, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel at some point you do have to pick and choose your battles, like, because I've always been the person where it's like, oh, I want to do this and this and this and this, and you know what I mean? Like, I remember like in high school, like a kid told me like Ray, you're like a jack of all trades and master of none, right? And I feel like that's defined my life in a lot of ways, like as a skater, as a filmmaker, as all the things that I've done. You know what I mean? It's like I just have multiple interests, and I feel like, that's great to an extent, but like at some point you got to realize like, okay, like this is where I'm going to put my energy, right? Because that's what's important to me, that has value for me, and I'm going to put my energy in that place. Make sense?
Yeah. Have you figured that out yet? It's still a work in progress?
Thanks, Austin.
Still a work in progress?
I set it up and you just knocked me down. Yeah. Well, yes.
I'm in the same boat too. I feel the same way too all the time.
Yeah, especially as a creative, right?
Exactly.
You're like, oh, I want to skate, or I want to, shoot photos or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? So like, have I figured it out? I think more now I figured it out. You know what I mean? Like working with kids is something that I'm passionate about. Staying active in skating for 27 28 years or something like that. You know what I mean? In different capacities, like as a skater, as an event producer, as a person that runs programming, teaching kids. Like, so, yeah. So you figure out what's important. And there's different things at different times, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when I was younger, it was like skate, skate, skate. And then like at a point, like it was like, oh, like I'm going to make some videos of skating, right? And then it was like, oh, like I'm going to teach kids how to skate. You know what I mean? So like, related to skating, it's like there can be an evolution with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. No, that's crazy because you're talking about like getting into being like a teacher and getting into all this thing about skating for 27 years. And man, it's a lot. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. But you have a very, let's touch on the beginning because you have such a like long history in skating. A lot of us in New York know you here as like, you know, kind of like the father of our scene. Like, you know, whenever there's like an event that needs organizing, whether it be for a
NYC Street Invite,
whether it's a contest or whether we, you know, have a tragedy losing one of our friends, like it always seems like, you know, you're the one to step up and kind of be that guy. But I really feel like a lot of people know you as that, but a lot of people don't know your beginning, especially a lot of the newer guys. Yeah. So I remember with me seeing you in On Common Ground with, you know, Joe DeDendro and John, but like, what was your beginning like? Like, what was your introduction to skating, like, and the development there? My
introduction to skating is a little complex.
We got time.
Yes. So I saw this kid come into my high school one time with a pair of skates on. Right, I went to school like around the West Village, and this kid used to skate back.
So you lived in the Bronx, you went to school West Village?
Yeah. My whole high school shit is crazy.
That doesn't make sense.
I went to like a Jesuit, all boys, private military academy.
Xavier?
What?
Yeah, I went to Xavier.
You went to Xavier?
Yeah, because you're from Staten Island, you know, like Xavier.
Farrell.
Kids. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Farrell.
Yeah.
Because they used to play.
Yeah. Xavier kids. We used to
Xavier.
We used to whack your ass.
Yeah, not in lacrosse though.
In rugby.
In rugby? Okay.
National. My high school
there was rugby?
I used to play. A lot of people don't know this. I was a rugby player before I was a rollerblader. And my high school. See how long we known each other?
Yeah.
You don't know that? My high school was the United States National, from a school from 16th Street and 5th Avenue, United States National Rugby Champions, high school.
Okay, so we got to touch on this. Yeah. How did a Puerto Rican kid from the Bronx get into rugby?
Word.
Because my uncle is big into rugby, but, you know, he's Irish, you know, Irish-American.
Hey, I feel you, man.
So that's...
And, So it's called... Get a scholarship to a really good high school and get exposed to shit that you never even knew about, because I didn't know what the fuck rugby was. You know what I mean? I just knew I'd like to hit people. And you could hit people without...
And you're pretty big,
Yeah, I was like,
this
fuck
works
it.
for me.
I was like, let's go. Like, you can hit people? All right, I'm with that. And that actually, I think, like, really helped with skating, because, like, once I started skating, like, you know, I would, like, BMX and shit like that, but, like, skating, you know, early days, we would body ourselves. Like, body, like... No grind, no soul, no. You know, we got nothing, right? Like we made shit, like we hurt ourselves bad. But I had that like resilience from playing rugby all those years. So like falling or getting hurt, like
you're
that
used
shit.
to that.
Yeah, I was like, that's all right.
Yeah,
like,
you used to like coach being like, get back up.
Yeah, I was like, let's go. My coaches were kidding me, bro. My coaches were like gnarly. They like coached like the rugby team, the U.S. soccer team, and shit like that. They didn't play.
Man.
So. Shout out to Mike Token and Cusinelli if you guys are watching.
Nice. Shout out.
Yeah.
All right. So this is before skating.
Yeah. So Andrew Pedro skated in school, right? And he skated. And I remember standing at my locker in high school and being like, because he was just glided through the fucking hallway, right? Yeah. And I was like...
Skating through school.
Yeah. And I was like... And nobody said anything. Because, like, you know, remember how, like, in the early days we used to skate on the subway?
Yeah.
And, like, there was no beef? Like, you could just skate everywhere because there were people like...
No one knew what it was.
Yeah, there were people like, what's that? Like,
it wasn't like a swarm of, like, 30, 40 people.
Yeah, it wasn't like a thing. So, like, in the early days, you could skate everywhere, right? So, skate in the subway, whatever. And he skated through the hallway, and I was like, that's dope. He had, like, these cool blades or whatever, like... And I was like, I want to do that. Little did I know that the best fucking skater at that time, hands down the best skater in New York, was a kid that I knew from my neighbor, Knuff Najee. I don't know if you guys ever remember Knuff.
Yeah, Knuff.
I don't remember.
Yeah, so Knuff and my mom were friends before Knuff was born. That's how deep it goes.
What?
And like, you guys know Malali's, right? So my
Knuff was in Uncommon Ground and all these.
Yeah, No Limits, Uncommon Ground.
No Limits,
Yeah,
that's it, yeah.
No Limits, Uncommon Ground. So Knuff skated in my neighborhood. He was nasty. He was like one of the first dudes on FR, like one of the first skaters on FR. And it sucks that like a lot of people don't know him because like we have to do a better job of like getting his name out there.
Right.
I've been speaking his name a lot.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Because like super he passed away from like a crazy, we don't actually know what it was, but some kind of crazy cancer. I was actually in the fucking room when he passed away with his brother. So like, I don't know. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
We could talk about with Eric and stuff like that, just in
Right.
terms of our community and loss. Like I feel like as a community, we've experienced so much loss, and that's hard. But there's some positives that can come out of that in terms of like what we've learned, what we take away, and what we can give back, right, to future generations. So I think that's, equally as important. So yeah, so Knuff was my neighbor, nasty ass skater. I just seen him. I remember coming out my building. I came out my building, and I saw him on skates, and I was like, "Yo, I just got some skates." Like finally got like some TRSs that were like 2 sizes too big for me. I have to wear like 3 pairs of socks to like fit in the oversized like early TRSs. He was like, "Yo, you skate? That's good. That's what's up." And then he just like turned around and skated down the hill backwards, and like blew my mind. He was talking to me. He was like, "Yeah, Ray, all right, peace. I'll see you later." He skated down the hill backwards. Like, this motherfucker
He's
just
the
like,
coolest
he's
dude
nasty.
ever.
Yeah, he's like so cool. He had boneless on and shit.
That's so funny
And I was
that
just
could
like,
make you
Yo,
change your whole mindset.
No,
Yo,
that
kid.
is like the coolest thing ever.
Yo,
Let's just think about that.
Son,
like how cool
that
is.
impression, like Knuff. If you knew Knuff too, and like Ariel and John and all these guys, Victor, and like, just imagine Knuff, because Knuff had mad style. He had like early, like, baggy fucking shorts with the boneless on. Like,
Yeah.
Knuff was a straight like South Bronx kid,
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Yeah, Ray, what's up?" And I known him like forever, right? But to see that he was skating, I was like gassed. And then like he was like, "Yeah, that's what, but yo, come skate with me at Malali's." Like, I'm going there right now, because he lived there basically.
Yeah.
Skated down the hill backwards.
That's my cue.
And just fucking. Oh, is that the cue? Oh,
Yeah, good looks.
Is that my thing? I never set this, so
bad.
I don't have that kind of time.
My bad to put that
It's
burn.
time out.
No, it's all good. You can keep going. Keep going.
Should I restart it?
No, keep-
I restarted it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not hot. These lights are like a little hot, but it's okay.
Sorry.
Might be all the whiskey I'm drinking.
No, it's okay.
But yeah, no, but that was cool, man. Like he's like, "Yo, Ray, what's up? That's great. You're skating," and just like literally turned around and skated down the hill backwards and like just blew my mind.
You're like, yeah.
I was just like, yo, like the impression that left on me. I was just like, this dude is nasty.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because like for me, like in the early days, those are the things that like impacted me the most. I remember when I started seeing someone just skate fakie, and he was crossing his legs, like ripping,
Chopping it up.
and I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
that's like the coolest thing. And I was like, oh man, like trying to skate backwards really good.
Yeah.
And like you forget, because like you skate so long, you like don't
You take it for
acknowledge
granted.
all those little steps
Yeah.
that are taken to get there.
Such a generational thing. My
It really
first thing too
is.
was my brother just skating and turning the corner, like turning the block. But in my mind, he was going like 90 miles an hour, like
Right.
super low. He was probably going like 5 miles an hour. I don't know, but just
Right.
like it just looks cool, just rolling, you know.
Yeah.
That's interesting, right? Like the first, like, and we're visual people, so the first like aesthetic impression that you get of something, and how that's like imprinted in your memory, right?
Yeah, that's
You know what I mean?
cool.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, that's the whole story of Malali.
So that was it. You were sold after that.
I was done. I was like,
You were
oh,
like, get me the blades.
yeah, no, because I had the
me
skates,
the
and I was like, I
boneless.
was
Okay.
skating around, but like I was just skating, like dork skating. I was like skating. I was skating. It was fun. I had mad energy, and I would play like pick up roller hockey and shit with my friends. Shout out Luis Lopez and Carmen.
Shout
You
out
guys-
Louis.
Yeah, and Devon and Mikey and
Sea Dog Mikey.
Yeah,
Devon.
yeah. They went on to fucking be nasty. My godson and his brother are like destroying it in hockey.
Nice.
But so me and his dad play hockey. But so that was the story of Malali's. My parents actually met in Malali Park. You've been to Malali's,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
My mom and dad met in that park.
What?
Yeah, they met there. My mom.
Well,
and dad.
not the skate park, but the park.
The park. It's,
In the park.
Yeah,
park,
but-
John
no,
Malali
that's
Park.
still- yeah.
They met in that park, and I used to ice skate in Malali's when it was an ice skating rink, because a lot of people don't know
I
this.
didn't know that.
That's why we got to work on this fucking history of New York City skating. Malali Park was And shout out to all Malalis, fucking Rob, Kaz, Louie, and Brendan, all you guys. Like, so that was an ice skating rink when I was a kid. So it was a Parks Department ice skating rink, and I used to ice skate there poorly with my dad when I was a little kid. And then I got into BMX, and I would ride BMX in Malalis, early Malalis, like early Malalis, body myself. Like, I was just like, oh. And then when I started blading, Knuff was like, yo, come to the park. So then that was it. Like, once I started going to Malalis with Knuff, it was like Eddie Campos, Eitan Kramer, you know, everybody from that era. And it was just like,
Joe DeDentro in there somewhere.
well, Joe came and John used to come. They were more like street kids, but like everybody skated there, right?
Yeah.
And Mike
Because you were doing that vert back in the day with Eddie.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Malalis had a vert ramp early. Somebody burned it, actually. They burned it down.
Damn.
So it was
Typical
like,
Bronx.
yeah. You know, the Bronx is
typical
burned.
early
Yo,
90s
gotta
Bronx.
represent, kid. You know,
There you
Boogie
go.
down.
got the boogie down. That's in my blood, man.
Did that get you started on the vert?
They burned half the vert ramp down, so it was just like
Big
a
quarter.
Yeah, it was a big quarter, and I remember dropping in on that shit.
What?
On blades? Like that's the burnt down half of the half pipe is the first time I dropped in on like a vert ramp.
Oh shit!
Wow.
No
Yeah,
way. So how
yeah.
did you get into skating vert? Because that's one of the hardest things for a New Yorker to do. There's no vert ramps. I don't think 108 was around. I don't know what we're talking about.
Not at all, dude. That's entirely like, and I think that's where, to be honest, I think that's where I get my. I think it's been built into me from like my mom and stuff like that, like caring for people. But like Eddie Campos, rest in peace. Eddie
RIP,
Campos really took me and several others, Eitan included, but he took me under his wing. Right. Firstly, he had a car, which none of us had a fucking car because Eddie lived in Jersey. And so Eddie was the first, I think, from the New York area, like the first pro blader for vert. Right. And then Eitan, obviously, Eitan Kramer, like in the Guinness World Book of Records, like for highest air on a fucking, you know, vert ramp. Kid from
nice.
like 47th Street
Yeah.
and like 3rd Avenue.
Wow, I didn't know he was in
Eitan.
Guinness.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, he's in Guinness World Book of Records.
That's really
What's
cool.
up, Eitan? Morph Boards, what's up? He's got
Yeah.
Shout out
that,
Morph
yeah.
Boards.
Yeah, yeah, that's a cool. But
True New
yeah.
Yorker.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eitan, man, that's my brother. We did a lot of crazy shit together. But you know, so Eddie, to his credit, he would take us to Cheapskates every weekend. So we would drive 3.5 hours to Cheapskates and like Shimerville and Pennsylvania. That's why I met like Matt Lindemuth and like all those. Even met like Michelle Stylen, you know, like Moxie Michelle Stylen.
Yeah.
I met her when she was like 12 because she grew up next to Cheapskates, and she messaged me like a while back. She was like, "Oh, you remember when I met you like when I was 12 at Cheapskates?" And I was like, "Yeah, I remember."
Estrogen.
You know? Yeah, Estrogen.
Yeah, shout out Estrogen.
Yeah, Estrogen.
Yeah, we actually have to have her on the podcast.
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah,
She's
you
really
totally
cool.
gotta have her on,
Yeah.
man.
She's awesome.
She's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's doing great things for for her thing for roller skating, but just skate sports in general, right? Like
Absolutely.
just raising awareness. So,
Yeah, she's very active. She's always on events too.
Big
Like,
shout out Estrogen.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. You mentioned FR before, and
Yeah.
you've been around since the beginning. We have a mystery that we haven't solved still. What can you tell us about Altitude Lou?
Oh no.
But
you know-
that's yeah, because that's the thing, man. Like
The
you guys-
saga.
Can we piece some parts of the puzzle
yeah,
together?
so they're like, there's like Altitude Lou, and then there's like this kid named Milkshake. There was a dude like Milkshake back in the day.
Oh
and
we
like,
have another one. There's
Yeah.
like an addition now.
So like Altitude Lou, like his thing was, and I forget where he was from, but he was like a Latino kid from like the city, and he would like straight jump cars, like just straight jump from flat, like just jump over cars. You know what I mean? And that was like the whole thing. And then obviously Sherry McComb, you know, Eric Launder / Liebman, Sherry McComb and Nick Hartman and all those guys. And so those early days, man, they were nice. Like there was a lot of information that I learned by way of example, because I really believe like we take away a lot by watching other people, right? And the way that other people react and respond. And I learned a lot from those guys, man, from the early days. Absolutely. Yeah.
Sick.
Eitan Kramer probably learned a thing or two from Altitude Lou getting in the Guinness Book of Records.
Yeah, I don't know, but maybe. Eitan can speak for himself. But yeah.
Yeah, so you did Uncommon Ground, you did this whole thing, and then I guess you kind of got into the back end of everything, doing the production. You have a skate school. which
now, yeah.
I'm not even sure like what's
what's up with that?
With the skate school?
in the midst of everything.
Yeah, so...
Well, first of all, do you want to touch in... we talked about it with John before.
Yeah, you guys have talked about it with John.
So now we got the other half
So
of it.
we know.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. I mean, look, I started... My first business was when I was 18 years old. I used to work at this skate shop down on Chambers Street called Alex Sport, right? Mm-hmm. So they used to like totally like take advantage of us, and like we made so much money for those dudes. And I got to tell this story actually.
Do it.
I don't know how much legal trouble I'm going to get into.
We need stories. We need stories.
So I'm about to blow up my own spot right here. Okay. But so Ron Hunter.
Okay, you can't plead the fifth after you go.
Yeah,
now.
I know. Okay. I don't know if there's like a statute of limitations on like robberies and shit, but like so fucking. So there were these Israeli guys like Lior. I forget this fucking guy's name, but like
Lior.
They were like savvy businessmen back in the beginning of blading. And, you know, they were like, oh, this shit is hot. We're going to start a skate shop right in Tribeca, like whatever. And so I can't help but laugh. So I would like work in the shop and sell mad skates. Fucking literally hundreds of skates a day. You know, and they were caking, and they would just give us like minimum wage and like a fucking tip. Yeah. Right. And then on top of that, I would go out and teach dozens of people how to skate every day. And this was like when I was 18. Right. So that was my first business, in that I worked for them, but then I also started a skate school, right? And then I started City Skate with David Lark Smith. What's up, David? And so City Skate, we sponsored like Bashi, Mike Johnson, John Ortiz, all the Dislas, like all that whole crew. Yeah. Like you remember City Skate, like from that time. So City Skate came out of that era. But back to the funny part with the skate shop. So like, we were all like really vexed because these guys were like caking and they were like making mad money. And so Ron Hunter interviews to come to work at Alex Sport. I can't help but laugh. So he comes and works, and we're like, yeah, what's up? So he skates, whatever. Ron's from the Lower East Side. And then we planned a robbery.
Straight up a robbery?
Yeah. I'm a city kid, man. Like we used to try to get it. So they made so much money that these motherfuckers had another storefront in Tribeca, a whole nother storefront for just product, just hundreds of boxes of skates. Like, never mind, like, getting a storage closet. Like, no, we need to keep it convenient.
It was a storefront.
A storefront. Like
in Tribeca.
Yeah,
like
two storefronts. One was the skate shop, and one was storage.
Wow.
Like, that's how much they were caking. Like, they were just like, oh, we're just going to rent a storefront as storage, right? So, like, thinking about that now, you're like, oh, wow. Like, thinking about how much money they made, right? And we were vexed. We were like, fuck these assholes. Yeah. Like, we're going to rob these motherfuckers. Like,
that's fair.
So whatever. We had the key.
Justice.
Yo.
Justice.
So, I can't believe I'm blowing. I've never told this story, by the way.
I'm stoked on it. Keep going.
And I recently just told it to Ron. Like, this is how deep it is. After like 20 years of friendship, I finally admitted to Ron Hunter, like, yo, that was me. So so we go, and like me and my crew, we get a box truck, and we just we had the keys to the storage spot, so we just loaded that shit up.
That's a fucking heist.
Boom, 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 boom. We're like loading the truck up with mad skates, right? And then
10 years later, Summer Streets happens.
No, chill. Don't fuck up my shit, man. Yeah. No. So we boom, and then the doorman comes out. He's like, hey. He's like, what are you doing? So we're all scrambled, drive the truck away, whatever, right? Next day, like, we have to go to work because we're like, we can't show up to work because they were like,
you look super hot.
Guilty, like, you know, that was you.
You got to show up to work and be like, what happened?
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly. Show up to work, like, yo, what's up? You're like, yeah, we got robbed. Like, really? I was like, no way. It's like, who did it? The new guy. Ron Hunter.
No.
Yep.
All the blame was on him?
Yep. It was like suspect, right? He was like, because he was like the brand new guy. He just got hired that week. Yeah. So Ron.
And you were like, damn, Ron's an asshole.
Yeah. I was like, I don't really know that guy.
I don't know that guy.
He did that? That's so... I
was like, what happened to him back then?
Huh?
What happened to him back then?
He got fired.
He was just like,
no! Of course he got fired.
No.
What do you think? Of course he got fired. He got fired
And
right
you-
away.
You just told him,
And I
Ray,
stayed on the job.
You're a good dude. This podcast is meant to be about you being a good dude.
No, this
that
dirt.
sucks.
Fuck that. This is real life, bro. Like, this is shit. This, by the way, this happened like, I don't know, over 25 years ago. So hopefully I don't become
What did Ron?
liable.
What did Ron say when he said you?
He was,
so he just found out about this.
like 2 years ago, I told him.
What did he say? He was just like, "I'll fuck
He
you."
was like, yo, nigga, I knew that was you. I knew it was you. And like, Ron's like my brother, like one of my best friends. You know?
Right.
But yeah.
That's
it
crazy.
was-
You never told him.
Yeah, nah, because I felt bad, and I was like, nah,
Yeah,
it
no
doesn't
shit, you
matter
felt
now.
bad.
Like, we've been through mad other shit. Like, what does that matter? You know what I mean? But it was funny. He was like, yeah, I knew it was you. I knew it was you. It was. So yeah, so that's yeah. There's a lot of shit. I don't know. Ask me hard questions.
I mean, you obviously have stories for days.
I got
You know, you got skate stories. You got New York stories. I mean,
Yeah.
well, I mean, first of all, like a little bit of your background. You grew up in New York City, in the Bronx.
Yeah.
You know, you never left. You lived in like I think probably every borough other than Staten Island. We know.
That's true. That's
We
true.
know.
That's
We know.
true.
Maybe
know.
not Queens.
That's true.
Probably not Queens either.
I did live in Ridgewood. Yeah.
Oh, you lived in
I
Ridgewood.
lived in
Okay, that doesn't
Queens,
really
yeah.
count as Brooklyn. That's not. That's
Yeah.
not.
This is in
it's
this
not.
is in the early '90s. It was definitely Queens. It was definitely Queens. Yeah.
Okay, we'll let you slide on that one. So, yeah, what was your tell us about your New York experience, because I think a lot of, growing up with knowing you as a friend, and I always like really listened to you when you told like these New York stories, because you always had like the perspective from like, I feel like I always just missed what was cool in New York. Because right when I got like old
you guys
enough,
miss all the good
right
shit.
when I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
old enough to do cool stuff, that New York just stopped being cool.
Yeah.
And it just got
We
even
never stopped being
less
cool,
and
yo.
less cool. Like, but when like when I was a teenager and stuff like that, it was like really freaking. I thought it was really.
I'm
cool.
gonna be like old school Billy on the old school Jump Street, pouring the drink off camera. Like
On the old school Jump Street.
thinking he's slick over here, like
On
you
the
know.
pre-COVID
Yeah,
Jump
yeah.
Street, old
Yeah.
school.
Yeah. Like early, yeah.
But now we got such big problems that we don't even care. We don't
Yo,
even hide it anymore.
Yo, kid. The 2020, whatever, bro.
Yeah.
I bet my alcohol tolerance is next level.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
shit,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm good.
What can we do to flip 2020 around to make it?
Well, that's a great question, Austin. I think that we, and that's the thing that I was getting at with Ezekiel and all that stuff the other day. I love Ezekiel. I love all the guests. And what you guys have been doing, let me just say this. I have been a fan since day one. I remember when you guys talked to me about the idea for Jump Street, and to watch the evolution of Jump Street and what you guys have done up until this point. It is so very important for our culture, because never mind being a sport. Yes, we are a sport, but we are, the thread of what we are is so much important as a fold, as a brethren, as a community, that things like this and communication like this, and even these stories, right? Everybody being able to tell their stories, it's enrichment, right? Mm-hmm. And we're all learning from all of that stuff. And so the value from that is paramount. Like, it is incredibly important for us to know our history, right? And so, well done, and thank you guys.
Thank
for
you
that.
so much.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, yeah. First of all, yeah. Thank you. That's huge.
Yeah.
You're the
Your
man.
earlier question was, I'm a poor-ass Puerto Rican kid from the South Bronx, bro.
Yeah.
and I found a way, and that's a nice thing, right? And that's the blessing. My gift and my blessing in life is that I found a vehicle and a platform, which is being part of skating and skate culture, that enlightened me, right? It totally enlightened me and opened so many pathways for me in life, right? To take different roads, like as a skater or as a person doing film and photography, someone designing product or whatever those things are. It was an eye opener for me, right? And then going back to Go Sports and what we've been doing with John and working in schools with kids, that's what's really important to me is look, we know that not all of these kids are going to go on to be skaters, right? But they'll skate and they'll be exposed to that. But I understand as well as John does, what that exposure does for you, right? And you guys know this, right? Because you're all badass skaters, but badass individuals and people, and what that has provided for you as an individual, right? And it's like a mind shift, right? Like once you get exposed to that, it's like it turns you on, and then you're like, psh, and you're like, oh shit, like this is life. Like there's all these different things and all these different avenues and
these
roads
different
and
mediums and
absolutely, man,
ways
and
of
so,
access.
Yeah, so I am incredibly grateful to, and I say it all the time, man, to be part of our community because it absolutely changed my life.
And I think we're super grateful to have you too, especially as like
definitely.
someone who's, you know, everyone in New York knows, like I said, you're like the father of the New York thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually want to get into that, but first, before we get into that, I wanted to let our live watchers know that at the end we're going to be taking questions for Ray. The super chat questions are going to be priority questions. We're going to put those to the front. Mm-hmm. And half of the money we get from the super chats are going to go to the Harold Hunter Foundation.
Yeah.
So I wanted to maybe give you the opportunity to talk about the Harold Hunter Foundation and what that is.
Damn, Billy, you're setting me up. This makes me laugh because of the fucking story I just told about fucking Ron and the whole robbery.
Now's your chance to redeem yourself a little bit.
Whatever. All right. Bet. Thank you, Austin, for that out.
Yeah.
You gave me the out.
There we go.
Cool.
A lot of people don't know this, so Ron Hunter is the first pro-black rollerblader to come out of New York City, right? I think, and I don't know, I gotta ask John, but I asked like other people, but like I think there was one or two other like Mo Sanders or like whatever. There were a couple other like black skaters in America at that time that turned pro. But
Like AJ Jackson was pro
right,
before.
exactly,
Ron.
right. That said, Harold Hunter was the first pro-black skateboarder from New York City. Mm-hmm. Ron Hunter was the first pro-black rollerblader from New York City.
Wow.
I don't have to explain to you that household, right? Like the Hunter household, we all like, I don't have to explain that.
Ron, Harold, and Mike.
Yeah, and so how that family and that household and how that played into our existence, right? And that's why, like in New York in our time, like there's not that, there is always that rift in cultures, and not just within rollerblading. And I think people need to understand this. It's not just rollerblading, skateboarding. It's like there's I call it a cooler than thou syndrome that exists in action sports. Like look at like surfing and bodyboarding, right? You're riding the same fucking wave, like, because you're on a bodyboard or surfboard, like, there's a rift. Because you're skiing or you're snowboarding, like, you're on a fucking mountain, like, why there's a rift, right? And so, like, there's other factors that play into that. But for me, that thread, and those are my brothers, and so I've been very active with the Harrow Hunter Foundation for a long time, like, since the day that...
What do they do?
So the Harrow Hunter Foundation is a nonprofit that works with inner city youth using skateboarding as a tool, right?
So like get them. I've seen some things where they like take a lot of kids from the inner city who wouldn't have like maybe the opportunity to like go on trips and like take them to Woodward. I've seen things that you've done there.
That and a lot more than that. So 14 years of engagement with the youth, right?
Okay.
And so we're using skateboarding as a platform, but Harold was an actor. Harold rapped poorly, but he still rapped. It was interesting. But Harold was a model. Harold was a skateboarder, right? And so like
he was definitely like a New York persona, legend more than
like
anything.
Absolutely, globally, New York, but globally, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, being part of that's my family. I feel like honestly, that's my family,
right.
and because like that's part of our fucking family.
Totally.
Like,
I love Harold.
Yeah, and so like when I was able to work with them, I was like, let's get it. Like, you know what I mean? Like engaging with the youth in any capacity to benefit them, right? It is all what I'm about, right? And I feel very strongly, very passionately about that. So that's why it's interesting to be on like a rollerblading podcast with you guys or my brothers, but then like, donating the proceeds to the Harrow Hunter Foundation, which is actually a skateboarding foundation. But that stuff for me, it's the
your
same
family
fucking
still.
thread.
I think the core message of it all is like, because one, you're obviously advocating for the Harold Hunter Foundation, but you have your rollerblading skate school out here with John Ortiz, where you get like tons of kids on the skates, and I think the underlying message is to influence the youth to have like healthy, positive habits.
Absolutely.
Kids who are from like certain neighborhoods who may like, not be able to be exposed to skateboarding or blading all the time, and they're like, hey, check it out, this is an option. Like you would expose people to whatever thing.
And that's right, whatever thing, because for me it doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Like and that's the thing that's happening right now. Like we're in a world where there's like so much divisiveness, right? And that's the shit that's fucking us up. Like our divisiveness in the broader scope of being divisive, like who gives a fuck if you rollerblade or if you skateboard or you ride a scooter or who fucking cares? Like that doesn't matter. Like
no,
you're trying to get it. You're trying
and
to. And
rollerbladers should know that more than anyone.
Yeah,
because
we've been on both sides of it.
Rollerbladers should know
and
that more than anyone.
that's the thing, man. And that's what's so nice. So like with the HHF, like we've collaborated with Go Sports, and we've been here in Harlem, right down the block. Like we can walk there in 2 minutes. We've been teaching skateboarding and blading at the school in Harlem. You know what I mean? Because that's what it is. And I have a project cooking pre-COVID with fucking snowboarding, right? And getting like snowboarding programs going. And like, I don't give a shit what sport it is. Yes, I love our culture and our sport, but like for me, it's more about like elevating the youth, no matter what it is. Like
engaging the youth.
Yeah.
And elevating the culture.
So we've been teaching media arts too, right? Film and photography as well.
That's awesome.
So
I love that. Teaching life skills, jobs.
Yeah. So, you pick up some skates or a skateboard or a fucking camera, like whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, get it. Just get it.
That's awesome that you got that going on. And you mentioned Go Sports also, which is the skate school that you're doing with John Ortiz, which we talked about before on the show. But like during the whole COVID thing, like so many things have changed. Like, I don't know the exact numbers, but you've done hundreds or thousands of kids, teaching them in schools throughout the city or tri-state area for like every year. Yep. Like, have you guys figured out what you're going to do for that and like how you're going to adapt to all that stuff?
Is that
my bad? That's me again.
Oh, that's an awesome timer. Restart.
One time,
There you go.
Thanks.
All right, that's what's up.
But how you like? So what's like the future?
Do we need to do something?
I'll do it. Don't worry. What's the future of like Go Sports and all these skating schools now? Like, what do you think is happening with that?
Yeah, like what's the next step with everything?
Yeah, I mean, in short, we're going to persevere, right? Because I'm a firm believer of never say die. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. We're going to get it done one way or another. We're going to get it done, right? And so with the whole like new landscape of schools, that, honestly, that is a big question mark because not even like the New York City Department of Education really knows what's going on. I shared with John the other day, like Massachusetts as a state has canceled all PE programs, like all physical education programs for the state of Massachusetts for the next school year. They're gone. Whoa. Right?
That doesn't seem like a good thing to do in order to build your immune system.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
Physical
not.
activity is important for building your immune system.
Of course.
Sunlight's good for
and
it.
it's not only and yes, Billy, that is true, but it's not only in regards to, of course, like our physical well-being, but there's huge like social emotional components that go along with that, right?
Stress relieving components.
Because we know that, right? And so, we've pivoted in some ways, like we've come up with like some virtual learning, teaching, curriculum, and all that stuff. So we've created content. Yeah. And I'll share that with you, and it'd be nice if Jump Street can share that.
If you have a link to a website, we can put it up right here.
We've got lots of links. We put it right here.
Lots of links.
Right here.
Lots of links. So we have done that, right? But in the end, kids need to move, right? They just do. Like there's only so much like a kid can learn sitting in front of a fucking laptop.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
There really is.
They need the hands-on.
Right. And so it's nice that we've been able to do that. In that respect, like I've taken more of an approach, and in this very room, we've shot most of our own content in this room. This is where we shoot most of our stuff. Is more in line of edutainment, right? And you'll see it like with
education,
John,
entertainment.
Right, edutainment.
Wow.
Right? Like educational
entertainment.
Right. Well, Billy! Yeah, he got it. All right. He's the product of the New York City public school system.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Well done.
Yeah.
So that's really important. But in the end, kids need to move. So like how we address that going forward, we understand that the landscape is going to change and it's not going to be the same thing. Because to your earlier point, Austin, we teach at our peak, we teach 1,000 kids in the school system every week. 1,000 kids.
Yeah,
every week.
Fucking huge.
1,000 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In the U.S. we're the largest educational skate sports company in the U.S. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That said, we have to figure out how to continue to engage those kids, but in a different way. Right. And so that's what we're trying to figure out. Yeah. It's very challenging.
So still a work in progress, kind of like probably gonna need a lot of experimenting.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot of companies are facing a lot of new challenges learning through that, but
everybody is, yeah.
You have to restructure your whole business pretty much because of this.
But if I know Ray and New Yorkers in general, is they will find a way.
We rise to the top.
They will rise like
we rise to the top.
Rise like the cream in a toilet bowl to the top when it's flushed.
I don't know what you're talking about, but okay.
I'm joking. I'm messing around now, but no, I'm just saying, like, you know,
You must have ate some crazy shit if you have cream in the toilet bowl.
Oh man, it was a bad analogy. I'm sorry about that. I apologize. We'll pull back
to Little India and on 20.
We'll sweep that. We'll sweep it under the rug.
Ate some crazy curry ass shit.
We'll sweep that under the rug.
We gotta change this conversation.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, so in a second, I want to open it up for some potential questions for Ray. But before that, you know, Ray. I think you're a narrator. You're a good storyteller, and I know you have some good stories. You've traveled to Europe. You grew up in New York City. You've been around the world.
Yeah.
Do you have any insightful stories of some of our favorite rollbitters that we may not know that we'd be like, oh, that's a cool story?
Man, I got a lot. You gotta give me.
I gotta be specific.
You don't have to be specific.
Who else did you frame for a robbery?
Thank you. Only Ron Hunter.
Let's stay away from the criminal aspect.
Let's pull back from the.
Let's stay away from the criminal aspect. Yeah, we'll
criminal.
Yeah. We don't want. Yeah, we don't want. Yeah.
There's a lot. Just give me something. I'm gonna go.
What about you? What about your first experience in Europe as a New Yorker?
Oh, I mean, John and I.
Because I know that was huge for me.
Oh, so let's talk about Hit Bomb. So that was a funny fucking thing. So Ryan Jacqueline, one of your sponsors.
Hitbomb.com.
Yeah.
Some of the best stuff.
Code Jump Street, 50% off.
15% off. Jump Street on the
that
code.
lead in. Giving you that lead in right there.
Yeah.
And so that was just dope, dude. That and that's the thing, man, that I wish that, like, you know, and I think that skaters at large are experiencing that, but like it was a surreal experience, right? Like, so like John and I would go like to Europe a lot. Like we would go to Lausanne, for example, right? Like the old school Lausanne, right? And I just remember one time, like Dave Ortega and Ryan Jacqueline, like just coming out, and he was like, and like he just rolled up to me one day, and he was like, oh, what's up? Like, you guys are here too? You know what I mean? And it was just like, yeah, dude, of course we're here. Like, this is where it's at. You know what I mean? And as kids that grew up in the inner city, because we're like
teenagers,
grimy ass city kids, like on skates. You know what I mean? But we're in like plush ass Lausanne, Switzerland, like chilling. You know what I mean? And it's like we were, as young people, we were afforded this really like surreal sort of experience, right? Where we had all of these like this really like incredible like otherworldly kind of experiences where we're like, oh yeah, we're just here because we're skating, like that's what's up, you know what I mean? And looking at it as an adult, right, as a parent, and in hindsight, how lucky we were to be able to like have those sets of experiences, right? It was like that shit was so informational for us as individuals, where like, and at the time you don't really comprehend it, or you look back and you go like, oh, like that was so vital to who I became as a person, right? It really like enveloped like so many of these things for me and informed me in so many different ways. And so that's what I get at when I talk about like how lucky we are to be a part of a culture like that, because it's been everything for us. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
that's cool. And I know like a lot of these experiences in Europe like led you to even do some things you work today. Like you work with Toto Gali and you work with, you know, Matthias Sillen, right? And all these people.
Yeah, Matthias Sillen. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
right?
All those guys.
Am I right?
Yes, I do.
Am I right? Am I right?
I do. Are you trying to lead me into you have a question there? All right, what do you have? But yeah, Toto, shout out to Toto. And just like Eddie Campos was for me, like an immediate mentor.
Yeah.
Toto for us, and I think, and John before me, has been a mainstay in terms of like what we can do as individuals. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I need people to understand that and put that into perspective. Like, Toto is a French Moroccan kid, right? Like, he's a Moroccan kid, grew up in Marseille. You will never meet a more hustler motherfucker than Toto Gali. You never.
Moroccans are hustlers.
I think like you can't. You cannot.
That's coming
right?
from a New Yorker.
Yeah. And GTK for fucking life. Like, and they stayed here. Like when we did the U.S. tour, they stayed here. But like people like Toto, and we're so fortunate to have people like Toto Gali in our community, right? And so, and we're working on this whole project from the Bronx to Marseille, which is a cultural exchange program where we're bringing kids from the Bronx to Marseille, and we're doing a cultural exchange with skate, right, as a whole thing, but then also arts and music is a big component of that. Because I don't know if you guys remember, like there was Wu-Tang Clan, Staten Island.
Part of them.
Yes. The Wu-Tang Clan.
I think you guys may have heard of them.
I'm familiar.
And actually, let's do it with Jump Street. Like, let's do that. So we're doing the from the Bronx to Marseille. There's a famous track from I Am, which is a famous like French group, rap group from Marseille, right? Which all those guys are tight with, and a cultural exchange program where we're bringing kids from New York City to Marseille and back, right? And a cultural exchange, and to bring it back to rugby. That was one of my first experiences, because this is all cumulative of experience, our life experiences, right?
Totally.
And so, like, as a high school kid, I played rugby. Like, I don't know what the fuck what rugby was, a kid from the South Bronx, but we hosted, like, kids from, like, Australia and all that shit, like, early, when I was an early kid. And I had that experience, and I understood what cultural exchange was. I didn't know what the fuck cultural exchange was, but I understood that. And then as an early
in the South Bronx, you thought a cultural exchange is a fist fight or something like that.
it's like you're Puerto Rican and I'm Dominican.
Cultural exchange is a fist fight in the South Bronx.
Basically.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Billy. That was a comedic segue. Yes, but from that early time, right, like. And again, it's all about how you're informed, right? And the information that you gather with that. And so that said, from that early time, I had an international, from when I was like 16, 17, I had like a informational sort of cultural exchange, right? Like, oh, you're from a different place in the planet. You know, you're here in New York City, whatever. And so that's what our cultural exchange program is about. It's about, yes, it's about like, sport, because it's predicated on sport. And I think that's a very important thing for people to understand, is that sport and in our new, I'll digress a little bit, but in this whole fucking new like world that we're living in, and this whole landscape that we're living in, I don't think people understand how important sport is.
Yeah.
Sport, for everybody that's listening, sport is going to potentially be the fucking savior for our whole shit. Sport has the ability to transcend everything.
Race.
Everything.
Yep. Sex,
everything.
Totally.
It doesn't matter. You as a skater, bro, like you hang out with like kids in the hood. You were talking earlier about like, oh, like I'm a white like Italian fucking Irish kid from Staten Island, but I was like, yo, bro, you've been hanging out in the hood fucking more than fucking most people I know.
You know that though.
I do, and I hope most people understand that. But again, information, right? And so how we're informed, and so these sort of experiences are really, really, really vital to us, like. Becoming like an eclectic sort of group that's informed, and like how we move forward, right? It's complex. Yeah. It's not, it's very complicated, like especially where we are in the world with all these movements and everything happening. Like we're in a very like a paradigm shift sort of place in terms of like where our world is headed, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think cultures like ours will really we have the potential to lead the way in terms of like where we go, in terms of direction of the youth, and like and really affording like these kids, because it's more than sport. It starts with sport. It starts there.
Yep.
But there's way more to it than that.
And you know what? I'm going to touch on this real quick. I'm not trying to be negative in any way, but I agree with you. We talked about that on the Ezekwe podcast as well, and how blading is a good example of what it is to be accepting and all this stuff. And I just want to say, I noticed lately there's a trend in the world about how, you know, super inclusivity, and that's great. And I noticed skateboarding is like, hey, we're super inclusive. You know, we always have been. That's not true. That's our thing. We've always been that way. Just saying. You know what I mean? That's all.
In what way?
Okay.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know what you
Skateboarding used
mean.
to slander us with the, you know.
Oh, you're talking about
yeah,
that,
but that's the
Fruit
thing,
Booters,
dude. Yeah.
I mean,
But,
you know,
yeah, but
if you're an
here,
elitist,
if you want to go there, let's go there. Let's go there.
I'm just saying we were never like that. That's all I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
It's
No.
gonna be right there.
And that's a good point. And let's talk about
We were
that
never
point.
like that.
And let's talk about that point, because I work a lot in skateboarding, right?
Yeah, okay.
I work a lot in skateboarding. I love skateboarding. I skateboard a lot.
Yeah.
You skateboard a
I
lot.
like skateboarding.
You just had a video done with Richard with the whole like you and Bella.
Oh, well,
skateboarding.
that's just, using the deck.
Yeah. It's skateboarding.
Yeah.
I love skateboarding. I really, really do. I love all this shit, man.
Yeah.
I
No,
ride
I'm
a
sorry.
fucking.
all these wheels.
You know, I should have went down that road. That was
No,
wrong.
no,
That
it's
was wrong.
okay. But that's a good point.
wrong.
And that's a good point. It's not wrong.
But look in the mirror. That's what I'm saying.
No, it is a good point. It is a great point.
Yeah.
And it's a great point to rise because we have to contest things, right? Like we have to push forward. I ride a fucking electric scooter.
We all just
around,
rode that electric
right? You guys
scooter.
all rode the electric scooter. I fucking love that
nice.
electric scooter.
It was nice.
I literally almost riding my electric scooter. I almost got into a fight with a skateboarder about
so
riding
funny.
my fucking scooter.
That's so
Because he
crazy.
tried to test me. He's like, "Yo, that's whack." I'm like, "What?" I'm like,
You're like, what else am I gonna do that a skateboarder is gonna tell me
I
is
like,
whack? You know?
I'm like, you trying to press me on something?
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
You know, it's also whack. You being in the hospital is whack for you.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
But,
what you could have said.
but to your
if you were a
point,
tough guy, I'm just
to your point is that, and to my earlier point
Yeah.
is that we are at this really great societally,
yeah.
domestically here in New York, but in America and globally.
Yep.
We are in this point of like, we need to end all of this divisiveness. It doesn't matter. So to your
And
point,
it starts
for
by
example,
by conversing and finding middle ground with one another. And
Yes.
that's how you can do it.
But to your
Instead of
point-
dividing, try to talk.
Mhm.
but
find
but
peace.
all of that stuff exists in every counterculture and
Right.
every subculture. For example, to your point, skateboarders don't like longboarders, right? So if you longboard, skateboard, you are ostracized
Right.
from that community.
I didn't even know that until you told me that before.
And that's because you don't skateboard, Austin.
Yeah.
My bad.
But that's why that's why we need to be the example. Of,
Yeah, but here's the thing. To your point, why are people that ride a fucking skateboard, be it a regular twin tip skateboard or a longboard, why are those people divisive and like hating on longboard skateboards? I'm gonna call you out, Jaw and Greg and all you guys, right? And I'm fucking around with you guys, but
Yeah.
there is that, right? I think we had it. Oh no, that's a different thing. But then also like with bladers and scooters, right? Because like now we have a thing to hate on as bladers as scooters, right? A lot of these are nasty. Like,
Oh, yeah.
they're fucking amazing.
You can't
So-
deny what's undeniable.
Yeah,
no
so
matter
then
what you do.
What the fuck does all of that shit matter? Like, it does not matter. And we have to get to this point, and I hope that we as a culture and we as a populace, like, get to that point where we are not divisive in any respect.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get to that point. We have to. We have to. It doesn't matter
It's
if
a
you
good
ride.
thing to strive for.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, we have to get there, dude. It doesn't
We
matter
have
if you
Yeah.
ski or you fucking snowboard or if you bodyboard or if you fucking surf or if you blade or you scooter or you skateboard. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a crazy thing about all of these things are like counterculture, right? They're like counterculture. So there are all these cultures that go against the grain by their very like nature. So why are you guys like being divisive in a counterculture setting. It makes no fucking sense to me. No sense.
At the skate park the other day, there was I was on top of the deck next to some skateboarders, and they were hating on these scooter kids that were scooting around. And I was just in my head, I'm like, I didn't say nothing. That ain't me talking about it. Like, I didn't even know that they were hating on them.
You have to say something, dude.
No, I mean, like, it wasn't me that was the one who was hating on it. And I was just like, I hadn't saw skateboarding hating on scooters like that, you know?
No, it's just like, a theme in
they're the ones that get picked
human nature.
Yeah.
It's just how humans are.
But that's my point, dude.
It's a battle for power, and it's a battle for status. And that's one of the oldest human things. And whatever, it exists in all of our cultures, but it's cool to see blading as a whole, kind of, stand in the face of a lot of the issues that exist now, because I feel like if people followed the example of how we had our culture, we've always existed with whoever, different age groups, friend groups, cultures, ethnicities, and people just judge you on your, who you are. If you're a jerk, doesn't matter if you're green or purple, you're a jerk. But if you're cool, it's cool, whatever. So
that's all that matters.
I think that's what matters. We can go on this for a while, so I'm kind of trying to put a little bit of the
you go
kibosh.
I'm a guest
for a second. No, but I just want to open it up to our live viewers to people who have questions. So once again, while Austin's pulling up the questions from the live viewers, I want to say if you could follow us on our social media platforms, we really appreciate that. All of the ones. I've said it 1,000 times. So if you want to do that, it would be great. And yeah.
Also, go to hitbomb.com.
Oh, hitbomb.com. Hitbomb, not hitbomb.
HITBALM.com. Use code. Wait, John would walk on set. Take a piss on set.
John Ortiz is
right in the middle of the hip bomb.
No, you know what we're going to do? We're going to bring... Because
this is a very high energy episode.
Hey, listen,
we're all over the place.
We're getting lit. We got pizza.
We're finally in person now.
Yeah. I got vexed because I was like, why does Chris Farmer get a New York City pizza?
Yeah.
And New Yorkers don't get a pizza.
What? What?
We got pizza right there.
Because we normally have a studio, but in the midst of everything.
Yeah. This is a studio. It's called Parlor Production Studio. Been here before.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, we got John Ortiz. What's up, John Ortiz?
Okay.
You got
so go to hitbomb.com.
Hitbomb.com.
15% off your whole order with code JumpStreet at checkout. We said it. What?
I just want to honestly say with the Hitbomb, I tried it just the other day. It's really good. I still need to try
I've been using it for a month. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I just need to try that.
I've been using it for over a month already. So it's legit that we're really endorsing it because we have been using
legit.
it. Yeah, we have been using it.
The studio smelled like bomb just a second ago because my leg was.
Who told you to put a bomb on? I didn't say you put a bomb on. Who put a bomb on? Also, for the super chats, everyone, shout out to Topher Kimek, John Welling, Scotty Blades. We have there's different currencies here. I don't know. I'm guessing like $55 so far in super chats.
$55.
So, we said,
you guys better be fucking kicking down some more shit than that.
Well, whatever you guys got, have it. Like we said, it's going to the Harrow Hunter.
That's some political shit.
Some political shit?
You better kick down some. Where you at with that money? Fuck that. Kick it down. Because, I'm trying to compete with Ezekwe's episode right now.
All right, hold on. Maybe we'll get some more with this one. Bank London says, I would love Ray to talk about what it was like to skate with the god, Gil Vasquez.
Oh.
Super ill OG New York City blader.
That's cool. I like questions like that, like direct questions.
Yeah.
Some free advice.
Technically, it wasn't a question.
Oh, that is a question. What was it like? What, Austin?
Go on.
Gil. And so if a lot of people don't know, Gil is a protege of Rawlinson Rivero, who I have a very long love and hate intense relationship with.
Washington Heights.
Mostly I love him, because he's a loudmouth ass Dominican kid from New York, but I love him for that. Gil, all I have to say is put the links in the shit. Watch Some Free Advice too. That's it. Just watch those videos and shout out to Noisemaker Media and Mark, who's posted like 50 on the whole. Have you guys seen that? The Noisemaker Media. Mark helped me, Neil Moreno. Shout out Neil Moreno, Blizzard Productions. make those videos like Nickel and Dime 2.
Oh, yeah.
all those early
What's Mark's last
video.
name?
Karen Seca.
Yeah, Karen Seca.
Yeah. I think he's
I worked with him on a
Filipino.
few projects before.
Yeah, so Mark is a professor of Blader, filmer. His path was professor of media studies, right?
Mhm.
So he became he's a legit like professor of media studies. And he posted like recently, he just messaged me, he's gonna have more, but right now he's 50 of like old school content, right? And Gil's done a lot of those like early videos, and like Gil, he just had like this crazy style, man, where like he just watched. I was like watching the last 2 nights before tonight, watching some Free Advice 2, and you just watch Gil's style. Like Gil had like and that's why I understand like how he's so revered in skate culture, because he's nasty. Like,
I don't think
Gil's
he's revered
nasty.
enough. Like,
Yeah, he has to
Yeah.
be like Gil, and we chill with Gil. I was chilling with Gil like a while ago, like with Rollinson and Aton, those guys. But like Gil is like nasty. You have to, if you're into skating, you have to watch Gil Vasquez. Like in his tech, if you're into grinding and tech,
The style was just so good. So good.
he was one of the first backslide alley topsoils I saw.
Yeah.
If
And the
not
Royale
the
to alley
first.
rocket fishbrain on that flat rail.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
back to
Yeah.
back was so
Yeah.
good. Damn, already? 25 minutes?
Gotta think it real quick.
Should I get another one going while I jump out?
what up?
Ivan Iara asks, if you live forever and never aged, what action sport would you pick and practice on, considering you can't get hurt?
Oh, that's a loaded question. That's pretty funny because like Jordan came over to my backyard. So Jordan is I fucking love Jordan.
Of course.
Ghetto community.
Ghetto community shout out, Jordan Baez.
Yeah. Shout out to Ghetto community.
He's the man.
Jordan.
He's holding down New York City, man.
He is. And we should talk about that for New York, like, because that's important, right? I really want to talk about New York and New York skating. But so we were sitting in my backyard the other day. It was like Jordan and his son. His son is the same age as my son, Devin. And they're both 13. And I was just like, were you there? John was there. It was like me, John, and Jordan and his son. And I was like, yeah. I was like, skating's cool and all, but like, it's more important that you snowboard. And Jordan got mad. I think he got mad, right? Like he like looked at me like, meh. And like I think John and I understand that.
Jordan loves blading.
Yeah.
Jordan loves blading.
And that's great.
Yeah.
And I only meant that in the respect that like what snowboarding afforded me and us was like an exchange of environment. Like we as inner city, we're fucking city kids, man. We're city kids. You guys are stand on. We're city kids. When you go to the mountains and you're like by yourself on the top of a mountain,
It's different, yeah.
that shit is mad different. Like, you know what I mean? And that's why, like, you know, shout out to the European dudes like Matteo, Antanasio, and all those guys. Like, that's when you go, again, backing up. Like, for me, it's about experience, right? And our experience, our immediate experience is about skating. And that's great. And that's an amazing thing if you navigate urban environments, right? If you go to any city in the world, Barcelona, Berlin, fucking Tokyo, whatever, skate, get it. But you go some other shit and you go to a mountain, like, let's get it on a mountain. You know what I mean? And that's why, like, my thinking now in terms of our programming is like, let's expose these kids to a different environment. Let's take city kids to the mountains. And why not? Because that is a shift, right? It's a mind shift. Like not only you're exposed to like different people, but like you're exposed to a different environment. When you're in the woods and in a mountain by yourself as an inner city kid, I can't tell you like how that shit like changed my whole shit.
Just a different sense of like just environment in general. Just like
I never experienced that, but I can imagine it's similar to going to Woodward for the first time.
Basically,
it's like
I've never been snowboarding.
You're like
on the
it's like, bro, you're like a skater. He's like a skater. You're nasty though. You're like one of the best skaters ever. Certainly come out of New York, but like.
In my defense, I've tried going snowboarding and skiing every winter for the past like 15 years, and it never worked out.
You need to come.
And I'm not against that. I want to do it, but yeah, you are right. It's a completely different
Yeah.
experience, and it's awesome too. You mentioned Oxygen skates before, and I forgot you used to ride for Oxygen. Did you see there's somebody now who's I don't know who it is. He's remaking oxygen skates now, like rebuilding them. He's like
I didn't
3D
see
modeling
that.
him.
No.
You saw that,
Yeah.
right? What do you
I
think
did.
about that? Like,
I did, and that's an interesting thing, because Oxygen is a ski boot company, and I don't think a lot of like skaters understand that like Solomon ski manufacturer mostly.
yeah.
Oxygen was Atomic Koflok, which was, our first sponsor for New York City, like City Skate, me and John Ortiz, like so they come from a ski boot lineage, because they had
It really looks like it.
Yeah, you could
It
tell.
does.
well, they had the manufacturing
like it.
capability,
Certainly does,
right?
yeah.
They had the manufacturing capability,
Right.
And so my personal experience with them was really interesting. I remember like Augustine, and I early, like 96 or something. It was like the product developer. They're an Austrian company. They're from Austria. Luckily, through my whole rugby Xavier experience, I'm the Puerto Rican kid from the South Bronx that studied German. So I spoke German. So they were like, why is this Puerto Rican kid from the South Bronx speak German?
Because you took German at Xavier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Ja, ich habe Deutsch gesprochen. 4 Jahre in die Schule Deutsch studiert.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sounds legit.
Yeah, it's poor. I need to practice.
Yeah.
Mateo, don't
Yeah.
shit on me for that.
Yeah.
Or Bruno,
But I can see how-
or Dominic.
I can see how that's unique.
Yeah.
I can see how that's
Yeah.
unique. For
So that said, I had that exposure, and again, it's all about exposure, right?
Right.
And so German ski boot manufacturer making skates, great, and like Brooke and Parnell and all those guys spearheaded that, and so, it was great to have that sort of thing, but bringing it back, it's like where can we take and that's my personal experience, but where can we take these kids? Mm-hmm. Where the fuck can we take these kids?
Right.
That was my experience. I know what that is. I've identified that. That was cool. Where are we going to go from there? What's next? What's next? And that's why the Marseille Bronx experience is so important.
Yeah.
And all that shit, dude, and all that, all of that, however we can expand. And this is the best time to do it. Well,
yeah.
Any time is important to do it, but
Now, especially in the midst of everything, it's the most important.
Yeah, especially now. I think we're at a crux, and we're at a building point where it's we have been sort of incubating.
Yeah. It's an opportunity as well as
and it's just we're gonna pop off, and shit is crazy now. Let's make no mistake about it.
Yep.
But what's to come is up to us, and what we make of that is gonna set the precedent for all that other shit.
That's real.
That is real.
All right, keep that in mind. We're going to do 2 more questions. What do you think? 2, 3? We'll do a few more questions.
Let's do.
Oh, there's been some more turns.
Yeah, there's more chats. We got Phil Lemoyne, $25. Chad Hornish with the 99 cents as usual. Reliable Chad. Happy belated Chad. It's a birthday today.
Chad.
Joey Scanella, $24.99.
Oh.
Scotty Blaze threw up another 20 for the movement. 17 BKS says, Ray, you're a good dude. Back in March 2001, you walked by as I skated at the CBS building and said my 180 was cool. Meant a lot to a grommet like myself. It's cool to hear. Do you remember this 180?
How much did he donate?
That's fucked up.
Because if you donate 99 cents, motherfucker, I ain't commenting on your
I
shit.
did $24.
That's fucked up.
24, that's worth a comment. That's worth a comment.
Come on.
That's worth a comment. No. We're playing this straight. You got to up the ante. I know it's pandemic, but we need $50, $100, or more.
Ray.
Minimal response.
The donations are extra. Consider this. If we're at episode 62, if say we do this for another 60 episodes, for you to watch every episode and donate $20 every time, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's $1,200.
So
So Ray's right though. Raising up. This is for the
let's go.
Harrow Hunter Foundation. I think we're done with the questions for the most part. Anything else you wanted to say, Ray, before we sign off?
What was the last
It's almost
question?
pizza time. What do you mean the last question?
What was the last one? What Chad said?
Oh, no.
Chad Hornish?
No, Chad he's reliable. He always comes through with 99-cent donation every episode. Every episode, every movie night, everything. Chad Hornish comes
I would
through.
ask you this.
It's his birthday, yeah, that's what I was saying.
What parting words and advice do you have for, 1, the community, and 2, the youth of the world? Because that seems to be your focus in a lot of your work.
Yeah. Well, that's That's a lot, man. I think, the youth is absolutely our future, right?
Right.
And how we fertilitate that future dictates like the outcome. You know what I mean? So like I have a 13-year-old kid, and I understand like the information that he reacts to and responds to on a daily basis informs him in how he develops as a person, right? And so like I think it's very, very important for us, and we're at an incredibly complex point in our history, global history. I mean, I don't think that there's been World War II where I'm a history like geekazoid. I'm a total fucking history buff, and I think that when we look back on world history, where we are collectively is a very like transitional, like shift changing point, right? But I think it's most important for people, like, because I think as adults we're all caught up in our own shit, right? Adults are always caught up in adult shit, and it's like that's, to me, it's not really what's important, man. It's like if you have fucking kids, like if you're an asshole, is your kid going to grow up to be an asshole? Like,
there's probably a higher probability. The probability is definitely higher.
Yeah. If you're a dick, your kid's going to probably grow up to be a
most
dick.
likely.
More than fucking likely.
Yeah.
Don't let your kid grow up to be a dick.
Yeah.
Like, serious.
And how do you think you do that? Exposure? I think exposure is important.
Absolutely. And as a parent, I expose my child to Devin like as much as I can, the good and the bad. You know what I mean? We listen to the news and all that stuff, and like all of that stuff, and like, we talked about Devin a lot, but like make no mistake about it, we're at a very complex time in history and culture and world history, right? But we have to understand that we're short-lived. What we do creates a legacy. What we do creates a legacy for other people, more importantly for our future generations and our kids. And I think that for me,
you're saying we hold a responsibility.
We are absolutely responsible to that. We are absolutely responsible to that. And I think that collectively, like, we're sort of ambiguous to that, and not like, the world that we live in like right now is like a little like aloof to all that kind of stuff. And like, I think that where we can do, and that's a nice thing. And I will tell you that is a nice thing that I take away from our community, is that they are centered on the youth. All of the older generations and all the feedback that I get from like other people, they're like, oh, either my kids or the youth, right? Because they're concerned about that younger generation. Yeah. Because they understand what's been afforded to them by way of their personal experience. Like, oh, like this thing affected me, right? And that's informed who I am as a person, right? So I am mindful of that, and I'm cognizant of that, because that will inform my son or my daughter or like the future generations of that. And that is like, I feel like that's the most important thing where we need to get to, like as a collective, as a people, as a community. That's where I think that we need to get to.
That was great.
Well, I agree with you. I think that's the kind of guidance that we need to take onto the world. Take responsibility. We're in a delicate time. It's a historical time. And man, wow, we've covered so much in this podcast. We've been on for like
this has been a while.
It's almost 2 hours.
A lot of people commented on how they love the energy in this one. Yeah. Oh shit, Ryan Northway super chat 1999.
Oh, what's up, Ryan?
Ryan Northway.
See, that's what I'm talking about, bro. He's exactly the freaking example that I'm talking about.
Apollo Bolas, $50.
What's up, Apollo?
He said, "Love you, Primo." Oh, there you go.
Yo, we gotta kick it down, bro. Yo, let's keep it going. Okay, I'm gonna put motherfuckers on.
Okay,
the
what's your favorite color? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Who's my favorite skater? One of my favorite skaters.
We do have another podcast to do, and I think that was a really good way to end it, to be honest. And you're welcome on the podcast again in the future. We should do it again. Awesome. And
It's a long time coming.
I don't want to digress to what's your favorite skater after leaving on such a positive note.
I like
You've had
favorite
such a-
skaters.
Yeah, I'm sure you.
like
we
favorite
all
skaters.
do. But I think that was a really powerful message and a good
You're one
end.
of my favorite skaters.
You're one of my favorite people.
That was a good
Okay.
answer.
Well,
Ray, thanks for coming on. Thanks for letting
Yeah.
us use Parlor Studio to host this shit.
absolutely.
You're the man. Everyone, thanks for watching. We'll be back in a little bit.
I know.
Damn, played
That was
him.
good. That
I want to
was
wash
good.
my hands. Don't
You can
touch
put
your
your
face.
you can put your mask back
Don't
on
touch
now,
your
Ray.
face. Straight to the bathroom. Okay.
Everyone, thanks
Touch
for
the
watching.
microphone.
Thanks for your super chats. And
Thanks,
we'll be
guys.
back soon.
We'll be back shortly with
Another episode.
Matthias St. John.